Hey everybody, welcome to the next video in our paint prep series. My name's Kevin Ansell, application engineer from 3M. Now we have the vehicle all masked off, we're ready to apply our primer. First, make sure that you're wearing your proper PPE when you're using any of these materials. You'll see today I'm wearing my safety glasses, gloves, paint suit, shoe covers, and when I'm in the booth spraying the material, I'll be wearing a powered air purifying respirator, also known as a PAPR. Secondly, this video is intended for a professional setting, like a paint shop or a body shop. If you want to learn more, we'll put the link to the safety and warranty information in the link below. Now let's get the car into the booth. When we're applying our primer, we're going to use a lower air pressure to atomize the primer less to keep it contained to the repair area. We don't want to cause too much overspray or get too close to our tape edge so that we can still keep that gradual transition to make it easier when we're blocking. The settings on our spray gun are really going to depend on what tip size we're using as well as what coating we're using. We always want to make sure that we're following the paint manufacturer's recommendations for what their tip size is, what their air pressure is, what their fan and fluid patterns are, so that we get the consistent appearance that we're trying to achieve. Before we apply our primer to the repair area, we're gonna go over to a section on the wall and really hone in our settings so that we have the desired fan pattern, the desired size, the amount of material that's going down so that we can accurately cover the repair area. So for this application, I'm going to be using a 3M performance spray gun with a 1.6 millimeter nozzle per the paint company recommendation. The initial settings that we start off with on the performance spray gun is about 15 PSI going into the spray gun. I'll open up the fan to about 1.5 to 2 turns and open up to the fluid with about 3 turns. And the initial application, the fan pattern is too big, too much overspray, so I'm going to dial the fan and fluid in a little bit so that I get a more consistent spray pattern, less overspray, and a more controlled spray. So the final settings that I came up with is about 1.25 turns on the fan pattern, about 1 turn on the fluid pattern, and about 15 PSI on the air cap. And I will really control my speed. I'll make sure that I get that effective film build so that we have complete coverage over the repair area. As we go on to spray the area, we're gonna start with our largest area first and go from edge to edge. Any layer that we're going on after that, we are going to refine a little bit closer to the center of the area so that we're building that thickness and have a nice gradual transition from the center where we have the highest and the most amount of primer to the edges where we have less primer and that we can have a smooth transition from one section to the next. Make sure as you're spraying, you're watching out for any micro pinholes. If you do see those as you're spraying, you can certainly cover them up with additional layers of primer. We want to make sure that we have enough primer on the panel to be able to level the entire area once we get to the blocking steps. If we don't put enough material down in our initial primer applications and we go to block, we might discover that there's a low spot where we had bare metal that we're trying to cover, and if that's the case, we might have to go back and apply an additional application of primer. You're not going to get paid for that, and that's an additional step that you're going to have to take. We also want to make sure that we don't put too much material down. 1, you're going to be sanding more, using more material, and 2, we want to make sure that we're also following the paint manufacturer's recommendation for film build. So with that whole process, you don't want to put too little, you don't want to put too much. You want to make sure that you're putting just the right amount of primer to make your process as efficient as possible. Some manufacturers recommend starting off with a light coat and then building up materials with a medium coat and a heavier coat as you're getting closer to that center of that repair area. Make sure you read up on the manufacturer's recommendation so you understand how they recommend to apply their primer. Lastly, make sure that you're allowing proper flash time between coats as you're building up your film thickness. So now that we have the primer on our surface, we're going to hit the bake cycle on our booth following the paint manufacturer's recommendation for time and temperature. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the content that we have for you today, make sure that you hit the like button, make any comments in the section below, and make sure that you share and subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you check us out at 3M Collision Repair Academy. See you next time.